Where'd you come from? Where'd you come from? Oh, yeah, that's a little different.
Very different. You wouldn't want to go back to work. They destroyed Texas. Democratic. Bad.
Yeah, Austin is a stinkhole.
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on Austin. The worst place I've lived in my life.
Right. Yeah, I had a friend of mine who was from Austin, Ohio, just because it was so cold.
Yeah, it's really sad. It was a great place. I was there in the very beginning. The first 3 years were great. It just went downhill.
People don't realize that oh, well, he's got a nice name. Let's vote for him. What?
I was under that impression. But he's trying to like connect dots and like every time Jared felt like he was hurt.
Yep. Yeah, my dad told me a long time ago, he was like, I never had more money than when a Republican was in office.
My finances were better than Trump, even though I'm making his money now. This doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're making more money, but everything costs more. That's like, okay, let's raise the minimum wage.
How are you, Kari? Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. Good to see everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you for everybody behind me for being here as well, and our elected officials and those who are running as well. We are in a difficult time in our country, and it seems that Arizona is kind of right there at ground zero for a lot of the problems that people are facing, whether it be the inflation and the cost of living that has soared under the Biden-Kamala regime, or whether it be the wide open border that used to be secure and is no longer secure in America. And of course, that is affecting Arizona with then the people crossing illegally. It's affecting our economy as well, and it's also affecting a generation who we've lost because of fentanyl poisoning. We have so many problems in this country, and we have a real opportunity in the next couple of months to solve them by coming together with America First policies that are really the simple common sense solutions to so many of the issues that we're facing. So I'm really happy that you're here today. I want to talk to you a little bit about what the Republican Party is all about. It's about common sense solutions, as I just said. It's about secure, safe streets, fully funded police departments so that we can enjoy our neighborhoods once again and feel safe. It's about a secure border where we have legal immigration, but we don't have millions of people pouring across unvetted. It's about taking back control of our border from the cartels so we don't have drugs pouring in, getting into the hands of our young people and a young generation. The Republican Party is about common sense solutions when it comes to our economy and energy sector, and when it comes to foreign policies, so that we're not starting unnecessary wars. So I have a lot of really incredible people I'd like to introduce you to, and we're going to start right now with Gina Swoboda. She is the chairwoman of the Arizona GOP, and I'm hoping that Gina, I know she will talk about how we are all about outreach. We want to grow the Republican Party. We want to welcome you if you want some of those things I just talked about: safe streets, secure border, great education for our kiddos that really teaches them rather than indoctrinating them. She's going to talk about how we are welcoming people to the Republican Party, how the party is growing, and our outreach to reach out to people who are interested in joining the party. So Gina, come on up.
Gina. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So, yes, and thank you so much to Kari Lake. We are so honored that you're a nominee, and we are so grateful that you're going to take that Senate seat back and represent us so beautifully, and thank you for that. Yes, so Kamala Harris is coming to town. I know you guys will be there for that. She and her putative vice presidential nominee are representing a dangerously liberal agenda, which is not policies that are supported by the majority of the American people. We do want to expand that tent. We do welcome everybody to come and vote for our ticket. I think you will see, if you look at the data from our primary, that independents are people that are party not designated. They haven't chosen to affiliate with a party. They pulled the Republican ballot 2-1. So they are looking for people that represent the issues that matter to them. And what matters to them is a secure border, because our people are dying. We're losing more people to fentanyl in this country than we have lost in many wars, okay? It's unacceptable. They have abandoned the border. Kamala was supposed to be in charge. What are they doing? They've done nothing. It's intriguing to me that she's running as if she's not in office right now, because she is actually the one who could be working to make the changes, since we apparently don't have a president steering the ship. No one knows where Biden is or what he might be doing or who's actually running the country. But we welcome people to please vote with us, vote for our ticket. Let us help educational choice, lowering prices, making housing affordable. You know, all of these illegal immigrants that are coming over the border are driving up the cost of housing for everybody, okay? Young people can't afford a house. So please, the policies are dangerously liberal. The time is running out. The time is short. We have candidates that represent what the American people want. We welcome everybody to join us in the tent. And with that, I'm very grateful to be here for everyone here, and I'm going to turn it back over to Kari to introduce our folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Gina. And thank you for being a great leader and working so hard to grow our party here in Arizona, make it stronger than ever. Because we have the solutions to the problems, and it's just waking people up and letting them know what we want to do to help make their lives better. We all want as I said, a secure Arizona. We want to make, as I say, Arizona grand again. And one person who's helping to do that is Congressman Eli Crane. He just won his primary. He has been so effective. Yes. He has been so incredible for a first-term congressman to go to Washington, D.C. and actually make a really big difference. I'd like to welcome Congressman Eli Crane.
Thank you, guys. I'll try and be really brief. I know we've got a lot of great speakers today. I want to say thank you to the Arizona GOP, to Kari, and everybody who's put this on today. I mean, come on, guys. This is so obvious. We've seen what Kamala Harris is all about. We've seen what this administration is all about. The world is on fire right now. We have multiple wars, one overseas, Ukraine, Russia, and also in the Middle East. We've got a wide open southern border. We've got record high inflation. And the question to the American people is, do you guys want more of the same? Or do you want somebody who has proven leadership that's shown us that he's willing and able to turn this around? All right. When I look at his VP pick, it just shows me that they're doubling down on, working with the radical side of their party. They're not coming towards the middle. And when I look at what he's been all about, lying about his military record, that's pretty standard in Washington, D.C. But I think one of the things I'm most concerned about when I look at Kamala and her VP choice is how cozy they are with socialism. Some of the things that they've said about socialism and how it's next to or liken it to being a good neighbor. If that's what you guys want, if that's what the American people want, we can continue to ride this pain train. But if you guys want to bring back a leader who puts you first, who's going to lower the cost for you guys, shore up the southern border so that we quit losing innocent Americans to MS-13 gang members, fentanyl, illegal drugs, etc., that's an option. And I highly recommend it because I love this country. I love my family. I want to see them thrive. I want to see the rest of you guys thrive, regardless of what side of the political aisle that you're on. And I want to talk to the media real quick. For those of you guys out there that have covered for these people, that have covered for Sleepy Joe, who didn't know where he was half the time, couldn't find his way off stage, fell all the time, shame on you. Because it's only a matter of time. And it's not all of you guys. Some of you guys actually cover this stuff fairly, but it's only a matter of time before it's somebody in your family that dies of fentanyl. Or maybe one of your daughters gets raped and murdered by an MS-13 gang member that's not supposed to be here. Well, now you've got the task of trying to make Kamala Harris seem like some superstar. I know it's a mountainous task, and I know she's going to be out here in Arizona this week. She probably won't go to the border because she never has since she's been the vice president. But you know who did go to the border? J.D. Vance went to the border. He's not even the vice president yet. I went to the border yesterday, and I want to thank Pinal County Sheriff and all of his guys for welcoming us anytime we want to go down there. It's a disaster. We all know it. The choice is simple. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Congressman Crane. Very powerful. He's right. We know Kamala Harris is not competent. We know Joe Biden was compromised, and the media sat silent. And now we're watching as the governor of Minnesota, who sat for 4 days and watched that city burn down and didn't do a darn thing about it, has come in, is lying about his military service. And it's crickets from a lot of people in the media. It is time for you to stand up, push back against your corporate managers and owners, and do the right thing for our country. Do the right thing for our country. Kind of went out of order here, so I'm going to come back around and go back to somebody who understands the border, because he's lived on the border for so many years. And he was one of the great speakers at the Republican convention. He is an activist for common sense. He's a Republican activist, and he's also going to be on the ballot as down in Yuma County. He's running for, and he actually just won his nomination for county recorder in Yuma. He is a fighter for fair and honest elections. His name is David Laura, and I'm honored to have him. Are you here, David? Where are you? Crossed enemy lines over there, huh? Come on in. You come on up. I didn't see you, so I was I better not call
I'm too short. I'm too short. Hello, everyone. I'm just an average American who lives in the real border, which is San Luis, Arizona, not Yuma. And I have to explain something to you that the media never wants to talk about. And listen to this carefully. Madres Buscadoras for the Spanish-speaking media. What that is a group of mothers in San Luis Rio Colorado and San Luis, Arizona, who have gathered because their cartels have picked up their sons or daughters and they've disappeared. And they take it upon themselves to go out and find mass graves. So they take wrought iron with a point and they poke. And when they draw that iron, they smell it. That's how they find them. This is San Luis, Sonora. The cartels have taken over that town, and no, the fence or the border does not stop from trickling over to the United States. My community. The cartels have taken school children that cross illegally every day, and they use them as mules to smuggle drugs. Now, President Trump was in San Luis. He came down to San Luis, and he signed the wall. And I was there. I witnessed it when he did it. Kamala Harris has never been to San Luis. And if she comes to San Luis, I want to take her on the south side of San Luis, and I'll teach her the facts of life. Right? So the Spanish-speaking media, if you want a real interview of what's happening in my community, I will give you the facts of life also, and I'll take you south of the border. And Congressman, I hope that you will help me with this problem, because even you don't know what's happening. In 2010, the Department of Justice came to me to take them by the hand and show them what was happening. That's how disconnected DC is from my community, my people, which are 99% Hispanic in San Luis, and my kids that are crossing every day and that are dying and are poisoning the rest of the children in this country. Thank you very much.
Somebody who really understands the border. And you know, we're doing this, by the way, because we know that Kamala Harris is coming to Arizona again tomorrow. And again, she won't visit the border. The borders won't be visiting the border. Apparently, the only wall that she supports is her VP pick by the name of Walls, I guess. And we're giving you some information so that you know how to cover this. She has not been asked tough questions. Has she done a press conference yet? I don't think she has. Has she done a sit-down interview with anybody? You have an opportunity tomorrow to actually ask tough questions, and I hope you will. And that's why we're giving you some information to help you and maybe educate you a little bit on what's really going on at our border here in our state as well. And somebody who understands that probably more than anyone is the former president of the National Border Patrol Union. I love this man because very early on, he recognized in Donald J. Trump, who was a candidate at the time, that what he was saying about securing the border, he meant. And Brandon Judd immediately endorsed President Trump and has always been a supporter of his, and he understands that when President Trump was in office, we actually did have a secure border. So please welcome Brandon Judd.
Kari, thank you. For what it's worth, I support you as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
not the president of the National Border Patrol Council anymore, so I can't give endorsements for Border Patrol agents, but personally, from what I've seen, absolutely support you as well. I like to have honest conversations. I don't care if people agree with me, if they disagree with me. All I want is facts to be out there, and let the American people then decide based upon all of the information. And as long as they can decide based upon all the information, we're good. But it's when we're not able to get all the information out, that's when it becomes very frustrating to me. It becomes very frustrating to Border Patrol agents. It becomes frustrating to law enforcement nationwide when we just can't get the facts out there. I'm going to give you facts. Please, by all means, fact check me. In the transition period, I met with Biden's transition team. I spoke to them about what was going to happen if he followed through on his promises to abolish President Trump's policies. I also gave them suggestions on what they could do if they chose to abolish those policies. They did abolish those policies. They failed to put in any policies to address the issue. I then, after then Vice President Harris was still Vice President Harris was put in charge of the border. And again, I'm going to use their words. She was charged with addressing the root causes of migration. That's what she was charged with. And because DHS cannot control every single facet of illegal immigration, if China won't take their nationals back, if Venezuela won't take their nationals back, you have to have the State Department that's then involved. Then you also have the court system. DHS doesn't control the court system. That's DOJ. DHS does not control the U.S. attorneys. That's DOJ. So you have different departments that operate, that deal with this issue. Because of that, you have to have somebody that can then coordinate between all of those different departments. When I met with the transition team, they assured me that any proposal that we gave them, it would go directly to the top, Harris and Biden. I then met with Secretary Mayorkas after she was appointed to address the root causes of migration. And I met with them and I gave them point by point what they could do. Not like a light switch, not like remain in Mexico. I stayed within their parameters. Their parameters was going to take a period of time, but it could have been done. And even staying within their parameters, Harris refused to implement any of the policies, programs, or operations that were given to her that would have addressed this issue. That is extremely frustrating, especially now that she is going to try to redefine herself, now that she is going to try to rewrite history and say that she was never the border czar, when in fact she was charged with, and again, address the root causes of migration. She failed to do that. She had the policies. She could have implemented the policies that fit within her parameters, and she refused to do it. This election comes down to policies. This election comes down to what's best for the American people. Okay? If we look at policies and we compare the policies side by side, it is clear that she's failed. It's also clear that President Trump was able to secure the border more than we had ever seen in 45 years. Not just once, but twice in 45 years. When Congress refused to work with him, because he did try to work with Congress the first 2 years, and when Congress refused to work with him, he then had to implement executive orders and policies that were in his purview from the executive branch. He did that. Harris has failed to do that. So when we compare policies, it is clear that President Trump's policies are much better than Kamala Harris's policies. President Trump's policies keep America safe, keeps our children safe, and hopefully our grandchildren as well. That's the reason that I've supported President Trump, and that's the reason that President Trump is the right choice in this election. Kari, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for your support. You know, we're talking a lot about Kamala Harris right now and her vice presidential pick, which, by the way, nobody's voted for her to be on the ticket. Not a single American voted for Kamala Harris to be on the ticket. Not a single Democrat. And my question to Democrats out there is, are you okay with that? Is that a threat to democracy? It sounds like it to me. It really does. And my opponent, Ruben Gallego, is just as radical as Kamala. He's just as radical as Tim Walz. He's just as radical as Joe Biden. And he is out there trying to repaint himself, and it's like one of those makeover shows that runs on some of your stations. It's like an extreme makeover. He is hinging on being a socialist. He's voted 100% of the time with Biden and Kamala's disastrous policies that are practically destroying our country. And now all of a sudden, many in the media and in his own commercials, he's trying to act like he's a cross between Mr. Rogers and G.I. Joe. It couldn't be further from the truth. He is for sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary cities. He called the border wall dumb and stupid. He said he would never fund the border wall. Now he's trying to backpedal on that one in part of his extreme makeover. He actually marched and defunded the police rallies and wanted to get rid of the filibuster to pass the George Floyd legislation, which would have defunded the police nationwide and made all of you less safe. He's for men participating in women's sports. That'll be the end of girls' sports. My question is, how many of you ever took part as a woman in sports when you were growing up? It's going to change. It's going to be impossible for our girls to compete and get scholarships with people like Ruben Gallego in office. And that's why you need to do a better job at pressing him on what his real policies are and what his real voting record is, because it's a mile deep, it's a mile wide and a mile deep, and it's all really progressive. And I hate to even use the word progressive because it's regressive. It is backwards for America. It is anti-American, and we need to expose what he's all about. My next guest, I'm honored to have. He's a real fighter for actually this district, and he's been a fighter for so many years in Congress, and puts up with a lot of grief from the media, and that must mean he's doing something really right. I'd like to welcome Congressman Andy Biggs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks to the media who came out. And Kari, I'm on your side 100%. Let's go in top to bottom, Republican, Trump, all the way down. Yeah. Every Republican has to win. Why is that? Why is that? Well, you look at the most radically left ticket in American history. That's what the Democrats are putting up. You have the new vice presidential candidate has said, if you build a border wall, I'm going to open up a ladder factory so they can climb on over. Yeah. He's signed in legislation in Minnesota to make it a sanctuary state. He signed in legislation to give illegal aliens driver's license. Now, why is that important? Because it incentivizes people to come into the country illegally. So I thought I would just share with you, because you're in the media, you might not have seen these news stories. These are just in the last 6 days. I thought, man, I'm not sure the media is even aware of that. So I thought I would just put some out. I don't know if you're aware that in Virginia, they just took over 6,000 illegal aliens off the voter rolls. Yeah. Off the voter rolls. I'm told, the media tells us all the time, that just doesn't happen. But they found over 6,000 in Virginia. You have a human smuggler pled guilty in Texas to smuggling in more than 560 illegal aliens. Just sentenced to 10 years. Now, he had been released on bail. What happened? Well, he was released. He kept smuggling humans, illegal aliens, into the country. Did you guys pick that up? I didn't see it on any of your news. The illegal aliens, under the Trump era, a person came in. He was ordered deported. But under the Biden administration, he could never be deported. Guess what he just did? He killed a 19-year-old college student in Virginia. I didn't see that in the media. But I found it in other media reports, just haven't seen it in you guys' media reports. How about this one from a number of economists? Multiple stories on this one. 75% of the job growth that Kamala Harris is saying, we did this great thing. We got all this job growth in. 75% went to foreign workers, which included illegal aliens. The great program that Biden put into place to grant parole illegally. He was illegally granting parole to a group of Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. Guess what? Turns out that those of us who said that will lead to fraud and it was illegal, turns out they're stopping that program. Did you carry that story? They stopped the program because why? Because there is so much fraud going on. They were stealing Social Security numbers, stealing identification. That's what happened. And I didn't see the media reporting on that too much. Judiciary Committee, I sit on this subcommittee. We just released a report. More than 99 people were released into the U.S. who are on the terrorist watch list. Did you pick that up? You know, the Pakistani with Iranian ties who was threatening to assassinate the president. He was plotting to assassinate President Trump. He was admitted on parole. Admitted. He's an illegal alien, admitted on parole. Now the FBI will say, well, we did that because we were tracking the guy. You know what? That's committing Russian roulette, and we are the ones with the guns at our head. I'll just give you a couple more here. Just a couple days ago, an 18-year-old illegal alien mother dumped her baby in a dumpster after putting that baby in a plastic bag. Tragic. And then, just yesterday, U.S. CBP alerted all their field offices that Iran and its proxies may try to transport, quote, operatives and materials, close quote, across the border. Be alert, because that's a result of a weak leadership in the White House, and it's also a product of failing to control the border. In that same memo, CBP said Venezuela-based gang Tren de Aragua moved assets across our border and into northeast U.S. That's what you should be confronting the border czar on. Yes. She was the border czar. What? I never called her the border czar. It was the media called her the border czar. But now she doesn't want to be called the border czar. She's 1984. She's memory holing this. That's what she's doing. Don't facilitate that. Ask her the questions. It took me 10 minutes to go through just this morning, knowing I was going to come here and be with Kari and Eli and Brandon and these great people here. It took 10 minutes for me to go and find these stories. You all have the authority. You have the capacity to get that message out. If you're not doing it, I join Eli in saying, shame on you. Let's go ahead. Let's make sure that the public knows the truth here. Thanks, Kari.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate it. Powerful. Okay, the people behind us. First of all, I want to take a look at this beautiful crowd. Let me just feast my eyes on this crowd. Hi, everyone. You are looking at an amazing group of Arizonans. You notice I didn't say Republicans. I just said Arizonans. I'm an America First candidate. I'm the nominee for Senate. Yay. It's called America First because we want to put Americans first. I didn't say Republicans first. I didn't say independents first or Democrats. We want to put Americans first, and people behind me get that. Many of them are former Democrats. Many of them are currently registered as Democrats. Some of them just voted Democrat before. And everybody behind me is waking up to the fact that the Democrat policies don't work. They don't work for our country. They're devastating. They're devastating the lives of all Arizonans. And so I am honored to have this incredible group. I wish I could have each and every one of them come up and speak, but I want to introduce a couple of folks right now. Vanessa and Gustavo Ayala, please join me. Vanessa, come on up, guys. Thank you so much. Are you done? This is Vanessa and Gustavo and their daughter, Natalia. And I just found out, this doesn't matter, you're registered Democrats. But you're not going to vote that way anymore, it sounds like. No. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why they're not going to vote that way. Because their son was killed by fentanyl poisoning. Their son was killed by fentanyl poisoning. He's one of hundreds of thousands across this country, Arizona, and all 50 states. Sadly, the fentanyl is coming through Arizona. and their son was taken from them. They don't get him back. They don't get to see what kind of a life he was going to lead. And they're left with a hole in their heart that will stay there for the rest of their lives. And the Democrats in Washington, D.C. aren't doing anything except enabling the cartels to continue to pour this deadly weapon of mass destruction across our border to take more lives. So I'd love if you, I don't know, Vanessa or Gustavo, or both of you want to tell us more about your son and where you are when it comes to the importance of this next election.
Thank you. Hi there. So my name's Vanessa Ayala. I'm a wife and mother in a family of 7. My husband, Gus, and our children, Natalia, Nathaniel, Noah, Giancarlo, and Sophia. 6 of us living and 1 unalived on March 17th, 2024, when our son took his last breath. Our lives were irrevocably altered when our middle child, Noah Giovanni, passed away at the young age of 17. He tragically lost his life ingesting a pill that was offered and sold to him by a friend. Noah was vibrant in our home. He was an athletic, and he had the brightest personality. He played flag football on a team that my husband coached since he was 7 years old. He ran track, excelled in AP classes, participated in the biotech program at his high school. Noah aspired to be a scientist or professor, driven by his passion for science and his ambitious dreams. These last 4 months have been excruciating for our family. We deeply miss his laughter, his jokes, his arm wrestling challenges, and his radiant smile. Despite our efforts to educate our children about the dangers of the synthetic opioids, this tragedy still befell upon our family and can very well affect yours. We are facing a critical issue in our country, particularly Arizona, which is making national headlines, and not for the right reasons. Our state is a significant entry point for trafficked illegal opioids, and urgent action needs to happen. We must elect leaders committed to implementing stricter laws and addressing this epidemic before more lives are lost. This is not just affecting teens, it's affecting toddlers and adults. It's affecting every age group. In my last conversation with Noah about his future, he expressed his unique potential, saying, "I am different, Mom. You just wait and see. I am different." Today, I stand here advocating for change in Noah's memory and for all those families affected by this crisis. I urge you to support politicians dedicating and making a real difference. I appreciate Kari Lake and her team for their commitment to being part of this much-needed change. It's too late to save my son, but together we can fight to save yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. There's so many stories just like that. There's a lot of stories like Noah's out there, way too many. And this has been out of control since Biden and Kamala Harris took office. President Trump, the numbers were going down. He was serious about making sure our border was secure, serious about coming down on the cartels. He was actively working with China, who provides the ingredients for this deadly drug, to stop it from coming even over to North America for the cartels to get their hand on and make into these counterfeit pills. We've got to get back to that. It's imperative that we educate people, educate a young generation about the dangers of fentanyl, and educate people about what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have done. They have put the priority on helping the cartels make money by trafficking drugs into our country. And they are responsible, in my opinion, for hundreds of thousands of deaths because of their terrible policies of young people, a young generation that we don't get back. So I want you all to think about Noah and think about the other young people that we've lost. I know many, if you ask a room full of people in Arizona if they've been affected by the loss of somebody from a fentanyl poisoning or they know somebody who has, almost every hand will come up. Think about that. Think about these incredible people we're losing. I'd like to introduce one more person, maybe two more, but I'm going to introduce Jade Gillum right now. Jade, come on up. Hi. Jade is an incredible young lady, and she wants to talk about her kind of eye-opening experience of waking up to some of the lies of the Democrat Party. So thank you for being here, Jade.
Thank you. I'm flattered that you'd call me young at 44. Thank you. Like Miss Kari said, my name is Jade. I am a former Democrat. Unlike Kamala Harris, I'm an actual real-life black woman. And I'm a former Democrat who is currently registered Republican.
Welcome.
I stand here before you today because I'm tired. I'm tired of the Democrats using the generational trauma of my people to garner votes. They invoke fear. They tell me I'm oppressed. They tell me I'm less than. They tell me I'm not good enough. And they tell me that my white brothers and sisters in Christ are my enemy. No. They are not. As a follower of Jesus Christ, Ephesians 5:11 tells me I must expose the works of the enemy. And the enemy is telling me that don't worry that I can't pay my bills, that I'm working 6 days a week this week and I'm tired. And I went to school and I have a career. I'm doing worse under this administration than in Donald Trump's administration, but I'm told to be afraid of a man who made my life better.
Yep.
How does that work? Make it make sense. During COVID, I knew more of my white guy friends that lost their jobs than me and my black girlfriends. We are the same in this country. All these Americans want the same thing. We want safety. We want prosperity. We want peace. And the Democrats keep going back and look, check it out, right? I honor my ancestors and the people who fought for us to be in this room here today. No one is discounting what my people went through, but honor them by getting past it and invoking forgiveness in this culture. I'm so tired of being told I need to be afraid. I'm so tired that I need to be told all the time that I have to vote for the Democrats who have done nothing positive for my life at all. My life is totally worse than it was during the Trump administration. Yet I kept having, you must vote for the Democrats. We're told this as black people since we were a child. Let's honor our ancestors by doing better and honor them, because they're rolling over in their graves hearing the fact that Kamala Harris is having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and showing our bodies as these like just vessels of lust. That's not cool. These women out here are being told that Donald Trump is like their enemy, when really, Kamala Harris opening up the border, look what happened to Laken Riley. She's a woman. She was a woman just like I am. No woman, black or white, wants that to happen to her. All of these people whose kids are dying, the black moms, the white moms, they all cry the same color tears.
Yes, yeah.
So let's move past this. Let's vote for Donald Trump so we can all be prosperous again. Let's get out of this fear, this rage, and this anger, because it comes from the devil. So hear me, black folks. Hear me, white folks. We are so much more alike than we are different.
Oh, yeah.
We need to forgive each other. We need to help each other. And I don't owe the Democrats anything. They owe me. They're to serve us. They're public servants. Stop putting them on a pedestal. Make them work for us.
Jade, thank you very much. She's right. Since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took office, our lives have gotten tougher. It's harder to afford food. It's harder to afford basics. I'm talking to people who are retirees who moved here thinking it was affordable. And now at 80, they're looking to maybe get a part-time job. I don't think you should have to go get a job at 80, guys. And I'm looking at a young generation. Some of them I see actually here in the media. My kids are young. They're 19 and 21. And my daughter said to me the other day, if I work every waking hour from the minute I wake up until the minute I go to bed, kind of like what Jade just said, 6 days a week you're working, you're still struggling to make ends meet. She said if I work every waking hour, I'd still not be able to have enough to afford a home. We have priced out this young generation out of the American dream, and they're never going to be able to get back into it unless we see a serious change come November 5th. And that change comes with voting for Donald J. Trump for president, Kari Lake for U.S. Senate, and Republicans right down the ticket, right? I don't know, did Devin make it here? Oh, there you are. I want to bring you up. Devin, he took the day off work today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I met him just this last weekend, and the media doesn't believe this. I meet people all the time who are Democrats or independents and say, I voted for you and I'm going to vote for you again. Because they're tired of the direction things are going. It's not working out for them. And I just thought your story was so compelling, Devin. He took the day off work, which is hard to do in this Biden-Kamala economy. It's going to set you back a little bit. But you wanted to share your story, and it really touched me. And I appreciate you coming all the way across town. Share your story just real quick. Thank you. Welcome, Devin, everybody.
First off, I want to thank Kari Lake for inviting me and providing this amazing opportunity to speak on behalf of her event. For those who don't know me, my name is Devin Cordova, and I was born and raised in Arizona. The chance I met Republican nominee Kari Lake, one of my favorite places, the Fine Ash Cigar at Westgate. It was a blessing. She made me feel comfortable enough to share my story, which had invited me to share today. Back in 2020, I was connected with the Democratic Mixed Party. I voted for Joe Biden in his presidential election. However, as soon as I realized the terrible backlash in my decision, Joe Biden's leadership in the White House has caused hyperinflation, increases taxes, and a cost of living crisis in America. As I grew up older and wiser, I realized my voting choices had influenced by social media and the media. I would just like to push out a reminder to everyone who's watching this. If we want to strive in a better America, lower taxes, lower inflation, and affordable cost of living, vote for Donald J. Trump as our next president of the United States, and vote for Kari Lake as the Arizona Senate.
And you're working on your dad, too, right?
I'm working with my dad and my family.
He's working to talk to his generation about the lies. Thank you very much, Devin. You guys have to realize that when you put stories out that aren't true or half-truths, it really does affect our country. And I took great pride in being a journalist, a fair and honest journalist, and I hope that you will understand that the power that comes with that role, to be truthful, to check your bias and be truthful. And I hope that you'll do that going into the next few months. With that, I want to thank everyone for being behind me, and I'll take a few questions if you guys have any questions. And if you could, you know how it is, state your name loudly and who you're with. Let's go to the gentleman in the plaid shirt.
Yes, you can make all the Ted Lasso jokes you want. Quick question. As of right now, you're underperforming President Trump in the polls, who's either leading or tied in Arizona. Mm-hmm. How do you plan on getting some of the Trump voters to also vote for you in the general election?
Well, I think it's great for President Trump. It shows that Democrats and independents are flocking to President Trump. They've got a very stark contrast. What they're dealing with now under, I don't know who's running our country, and what they were dealing with President Trump, which was a strong economy, safe streets, great foreign policy, no new wars. And so people are flocking to him. I feel very comfortable with our polling. It's very close. It looks good. My internal polling actually shows me up. Hey. Yeah, it does. It does. And so I feel very comfortable. I think I'm going to catch up with President Trump. I mean, we have the greatest president ever in President Trump, so of course he's doing really well. And I believe that we're going to catch up with him, and he's going to win, and I'm going to win in November. And then in January of 25, we're going to get to Washington, D.C., and get to working for the people. Your name? And
Jamie Vera with Fox News. So it's like the Cook Political Report today shifted Arizona from lean Republican to toss-up. We're going to see Vice President Harris here tomorrow. Just wondering if you're concerned having Harris at the top of the ticket, if that could hurt Republicans at all, and if we need to have Donald Trump, or if you believe Donald Trump should come out here and campaign as well.
I think that Kamala Harris is actually less popular. If you can imagine this, Joe Biden is so unpopular in Arizona. I'm out talking to more people than all of you guys combined. I talk to more people every single week in Arizona, I think, than anybody. And because I'm a populist candidate who has a great relationship with the people. People don't like Joe Biden, that's pretty obvious. They like Kamala Harris even less. They understand that she hasn't done anything for the border. I don't really believe all the public polls. I've seen a lot of polls. I tend to like the ones that are the internal ones. That's the one where there's no BS involved. And so, you guys can try to create, like I said, it's like a makeover show, total makeover. You're trying to say that somebody who has done nothing for the border, called herself the border czar, has done absolutely nothing, is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco. And you're trying to now all of a sudden act like she's the biggest superstar on the planet. And you can say that all you want. And there's a reason that your viewership and your subscriptions are just in the tank right now, because no one's believing the fairy tales that you're telling. And so say all you want and try to take this horrible ticket, the worst we've ever seen, and turn it into something special. The people feel it with their real lives. They can't afford to put food on the table. They're having to go to food banks to supplement, to make ends meet and feed their family. They know what it's about. And you can bring every, singer, rapper, actor, whoever you want to bring into the Democrat rallies. It's not going to change the fact that Democrat policies just don't work. They're devastating for individuals in this wonderful state and really across our country.
Hi, Kari, Alex with NBC News. You picked up an endorsement from Karen Taylor Robson last week on primary night. Would you be open to endorsing KTR should she mount a gubernatorial bid in 2026?
Oh my gosh, you're looking to the future. I like that. I'm looking to the future as well, and I see a future with America First policies of really a great economy again, safe streets once again. That's way down the line. I do appreciate that that she endorsed me. She endorsed me right after we were declared the winner last Tuesday, election day, and I really appreciate her endorsement. She's a businesswoman. She's had great accomplishments, and I welcome her endorsement. I don't even know that that's what she's planning on doing, and so I think we need to get through this election. Would you all agree we probably should get through this election? I think people are a little bit, frankly, by the time this election rolls around, they're going to want a tiny little bit of break as we roll up our sleeves and get to work. So thank you. Who did I miss? Let me ask this, and then I'll get to you. Is that okay?
Gabriel Sandoval with the Associated Press. I'm interested to know, did Harris miss a chance to improve her standing with her standing in the state by not picking Senator Mark Kelly and picking Walz?
Well, I actually didn't realize that Walz was on the list, and when I saw that she picked him, I was thinking, is she trying to tank the ticket for the Democrats? Because I saw what happened, guys, in the summer of 2020 with Minneapolis. I've got family who lives there. They were scared to death. The city was on fire. Businesses were burning. People were suffering. He didn't do anything. And by the way, Kamala Harris was bailing out the criminals who were burning people's businesses and torching cars and attacking people. And Ruben Gallego was actually marching in similar peaceful protests, as the media calls it. He was marching in those protests, protesting the police, and he was doing all that. He calls the police the bad guys. He calls the police the bad guys. So, frankly, I don't care who you plug in. You can put Mary Poppins in there. The policies of the Democrats are destructive. This is why we have record inflation. This is why the cost of living, rent prices in some areas have doubled. That means that you guys, when you pay rent, you're going to either get a much smaller apartment or you're going to have to take on another new roommate. Our mortgage rates are nearing 8%. We can't afford gas. You go to fill up your car and you can't fill it up anymore. You can only put a little bit in because you don't have the money to do it. And we're watching fentanyl kill people. We're watching wars starting overseas. I don't care who you put into that ticket. Like I said, Mary Poppins herself could be there. This is a disastrous ticket because it's a disastrous policies that are hurting the American people. Yes. Cameron, back there.
I got a policy question for you. So back in May, the state of Texas announced you're talking about border right now, landowners compensation program. In the Senate, is that something that you would like to see on a federal level essentially for rancher landowners along the border who get money back for property damages? Is that something you would support on the
Are
federal?
you talking about when illegal crossers damage their property, cut their
So,
fences,
yes.
do all
So
of that?
it's the crop damage out there, and then you go there, like, here for all the garbage that's left over, the damages for that.
Right.
And so is that something that should happen on a federal level?
Well, I'm glad that you're asking about it. Cameron actually does some pretty decent reporting, and he covers this kind of stuff because the ranchers, people living on the border, are suffering. And they're losing livestock. They're afraid for their lives. The good news is, Cameron, starting in January 2025, those ranchers are going to have a huge sigh of relief because we're going to stop this invasion at our border. So in January, that's going to happen right away. And they're not going to have to worry about having all this damage. But we'll look at all of that. I don't want to stand up here and make a policy decision, but we want to make sure we are protecting people along the border. But the way we protect people along the border is we stop the invasion at the border, and we take all of the disastrous policy that Joe Biden ushered in on day one with Ruben Gallego cheering him on, 100% behind it, and we get rid of all that disastrous policy, throw it in the trash. We bring back common sense policy that President Trump had to truly secure our border. So that's going to happen in January. Do we miss, was either one? Yeah.
We've seen a number of state Republicans gather behind both Harris and Ruben Gallego for support. I was just curious to get your reaction to that, and I wanted to ask, is there any concern to you that the GOP is fracturing in Arizona?
I don't think so, actually. I think it's growing. I mean, look at all these people here. Many of them are former Democrats that are going to vote Republican. Thank you. We are the party of we the people. And I think they had, 10, 11, 12 people, and, and they called themselves Republican. But they voted for Hillary. They voted for, Hobbs. They voted for everybody except Republicans and now they're going to vote for Kamala Harris and this Walz guy. And they're going to vote for Ruben Gallego, the most radical liberal politician to ever run in Arizona. I think you have to maybe at that point look in the mirror and decide if you want to maybe register as a Democrat. I don't know. If a few Republicans are becoming Democrats, that's up to them. They get their vote. But far more Democrats are coming over to the Republican Party. And the party is uniting. And I will say one more thing. I got polling, and I got close to 90% of the Republicans who are with me right now. And I think it's like 88 or 89%. President Trump's got 90%, so I'm pretty close to where he is. I believe the Republicans are united around me, and they want to have secure borders. They don't want the Trump tax cuts to go away. Most people who are business owners, Republicans, don't want the Trump tax cuts to go away in January. How many of you want a 20 or 30% increase in your taxes come January? They want to have a secure border. They don't want to be starting off new wars. So I'm not worried about that. I would let them know I still do want their vote. I welcome their vote. If they start to realize that things about Ruben Gallego that he's putting in his commercials aren't true, and they realize how liberal he is and they want to come back over and be Republicans, we would love to have their vote. I want your vote. I want you guys' vote. When you realize how disastrous this has been for your generation, I would love to have your vote as well. Do we need one more question? Do we have time for one more? How about this lady in front here?
Hi, Kari, Rachel Louise, Jess, ABC 15.
Hi.
Kind of just going off of that, you easily won last week, but it was somewhat close in just compared to how much money you raised compared to Mark Lamb and seemingly the events that you were holding, things like that.
16% is a close election. I didn't know that.
I guess just looking, not to say that you didn't easily win, like I said, you did, but with the amount of money that you were raising and the large events you were holding, there was a closeness there. What do you do to bring in those Mark Lamb Republicans to win them over?
I think the Lamb supporters are already with me. I really do. First of all, let me educate you guys. 16% is a landslide victory, just so you know. 16% is massive. And I love Mark Lamb, and I love his supporters, so I actually welcome them, and I believe we're going to get all of them. I really do. I did raise a lot more money, you're right. I think we raised 11 or 12 million, actually. But guess what? Guess how much money I spent in the primary? Zero. I didn't spend a penny. I have been, since I jumped into this, focused on the enemy. And the enemy is not Mark Land, the enemy is actually Ruben Gallego and these socialist policies. So I ran a general election since the 10th of October when I jumped in. I've been running a general election campaign. I haven't spent money on the primary. I didn't talk about the primary. I talk about my true opponent, who is Ruben Gallego. And so you don't pour money into a race that you're already going to win. I already knew what the polling was going to be. I knew I was going to be victorious. And therefore I didn't focus on that. So I think for not focusing at all on that, I think that was actually a massive landslide victory. But if you think 16 points is a close race, then I'll take a close race. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for being, did we miss you? Oh, my least favorite publication. Now, when is the Arizona Republic going to start being fair?
Kari, Ron Hansen with the Arizona Republic. You know, you spoke about your polling and how your campaign did in the primary and such, and that you have Republicans United behind you. When do you expect to see a flood of money coming in from, you know, all the various Republican organizations from Washington, or the endorsement and you know, public backing of people like Karen Taylor Robeson or Doug Ducey or others? Should we expect any of that to, you know, sort of make the case?
We just said Karen Robeson has endorsed me.
Will she be on the trail with you?
I don't know. I mean, she's running a business, and I'm okay on the trail. I mean, I think an endorsement, you know, it's never enough for the Republic, though. It's never enough. It's like a 16-point win isn't enough. You win in a landslide, and they say it wasn't a big enough landslide. You raise money. I raised $5.2 million, and they say it wasn't enough. You know, get endorsements from people, and they say it wasn't enough of the endorsement, or it wasn't a big enough endorsement. I don't know what I can do to please the Arizona Republic, but I'm not trying to please the Arizona Republic. So I'm happy with where we are. We have the NRSC has been incredibly supportive, and they're helping us run ads. We're running, I think we've got a $10 million ad buy right now. I'm comfortable with that. We have Club for Growth supporting us, and so I've got a ton of support. But most importantly, I have the support of the people of this great state, and that is where the power is. The power is with the people. So I appreciate every endorsement I get. We just announced a new list of endorsements today. We've got General Mick McGuire, former Representative John Shadig, Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, Newt Gingrich, Jerry Moyes, a wonderful businessman, Steve Twist, Amy Van Dyken, 6-time Olympic gold medalist, Jay Feely, retired professional football player and broadcaster, Sal DeCiccio, Karen Robeson. We've got a lot of endorsements and people who are endorsing us. I am not worried that Republicans aren't coming home. I know they are. They know what's at stake. They know the very fabric of this country is torn, and we have to bring it together. I'm working on not just Republicans, but Democrats who are disaffected and sick of struggling and suffering under the Democrat Party, and I'm working on independent. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And if you want to, you might be able to talk to some of these folks behind me, and please start telling the story of the fentanyl crisis. It's real. It's real. I'm going to find someone. Somebody's got to tell the story.